It's Monday, September 29th. So excited to be here again. I hope all of you had a great weekend, and I hope the start of the week is off to an amazing start for you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to yet another episode of Monday Evening Quarterback. My name is Christian Simpson, and I am the creator, I'm the founder, I'm the NFL and college football analyst. I'm a radio contributor, I'm a blogger, and just like many of you, overall fan of the game of football. And I started a brand called the Daily Blitz where we specialize in all things football 24/7, 365. Man, it feels so good to be here. Before I get into everything else I got to say, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And if you like what we're doing here, and if you want to keep up with everything going on within the brand, make sure you become a subscriber to the site today. TheDailyBlitz.blog. Into your email address, and anything that gets posted to the site will be sent to your email address. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, and Blog Talk Radio. If you've been following along from the get-go, as always, thank you. And if this is your first time tuning in or you were referred to me, thank you for taking the referral. Thank you to whoever gave you the referral. And I hope you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I have a jam-packed show. I know I say that every week, but this is... a lot has to be said. There were some upsets in college football. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to go to the phone lines, talk about what caught my eye yesterday in Week 4 of the NFL. I'm going to answer questions, and we have 2 Monday Night Football games on tonight. The winless Jets against the winless Dolphins. This is when I wish flexing was a more available option early on. And the Cincinnati Bengals and the Denver Broncos. And see, this game would have been so more interesting if Joe Burrow were playing. They played in a thrilling game last year in Cincinnati, went into overtime. Joe Burrow just absolutely carved up a really good Denver defense, especially that secondary. Excuse me. But yeah, there's a lot to discuss, and why don't we dive right in? The previously ranked 3rd team, 4th team, 5th team, and the 8th team. So teams that were ranked number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 8 were all on the losing side of things. Yeah. Let's start with what took place on Friday. In Charlottesville, Florida State, Virginia. Florida State, they've played well up until this point and kind of made, I don't want to say a believer out of me, but they played a lot better than what I had been anticipating from them. Had a Friday Night Lights showdown with the Virginia Cavaliers, who has been quietly coasting along to 2-0 now in the ACC. Virginia, who was unranked, they upset Florida State 46-38. I was kind of watching this game a little bit with Israel Rivera and Matt James as we were recording College Football Showdown for the Prime. And they're starting to repeat it. I know I may sound like a broken record player when I say it, but it needs to be said. This is what happens when you overlook who's in front of you when you look ahead. When you overlook a team and you look ahead to who's on your schedule, that's almost insulting to them. And they took that personally. And to me, this is a setback for Florida State. What a thrilling game. 46-38. double overtime. Tommy Castellanos, who I thought had given this Florida State team a huge spark. 18 of 32, 254 yards, 1 touchdown. Tommy was also your leading rusher. 14 carries, 78 yards. Chandler Morris, quarterback for Virginia. 26 of 35, 229 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Florida State let their guard down. And because they felt they were the better team, they felt all they had to do was show up. No, you still got to play for 60 minutes. And, yeah, Virginia, they're 4-1. They're 2-0 in the ACC now. And Florida State was looking ahead to Miami. That was supposed to be the game. Both Florida schools, both undefeated, potentially entering that game. But Florida State losing definitely took the luster out of this game. Just a terrible opportunity to slip. You got to stay focused, and anytime a team's not focused, I pin that on coaching. That's my thing. See what happens. Said this on College Football Showdown on Friday night when I recorded, and yeah, that was it. So down goes. They were previously ranked number 8 in the nation, and they went down. TCU goes down at the hands of an unranked Arizona State, but Arizona State is actually a good team. I really like Sam Levitt. I love what Kenny Dillingham has done with that program out there. All right, let's get in. Let's talk about the SEC. Number 4 LSU went into Ole Miss to play the Rebels, and the thing I like about Ole Miss is they always play everybody tough. Remember seeing them play Alabama tough during the Saban days, and I saw last year when they punched Georgia in the mouth, and wow was all I could say. Looking at the stats here, Garrett Nussmeier, not a good day at the office. 21 of 34, 197 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback for Ole Miss, 23 of 39, 314 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Harlan Berry was the leading rusher for LSU. 7 carries, 22 yards, and yeah, it just seemed like Ole Miss wanted this a little bit more. To be honest, I really hadn't liked the way LSU had been looking. They didn't look all that great against Florida a couple weeks ago. Yeah, granted, they intercepted DJ Lagway a total of 4 times. It just seemed like that LSU defense was just in attack mode full time. This is a huge win for Lane Kiffin in that program. Ole Miss is 5-0 and they're 3-0 in the SEC. LSU falls 2-4-1 on the year. A lot of people were high on them, and yeah, it just seemed like LSU, again, just taking teams lightly, and you can't do that in this sport. That's just that. Some other games, Notre Dame absolutely dominating Arkansas to the point that Sam Pittman got his pink slip. He was fired yesterday. And yeah, CJ Carr, probably the best I've seen him look all year long. 22 of 30, 354 yards, and 4 touchdown passes. I think the mindset now for Notre Dame is they're going into games with a playoff mentality. It's a must win. You don't win, you're done. Lost those first 2 games. Now they're sitting at 2-2. And one thing I was telling Izzy on College Football Showdown the other day is Notre Dame could easily be 4-0 right now. Only lost to Miami by 3, lost to Texas A&M by 1. Yeah, they could easily be a top 5 ranked team in the nation. Yeah, Arkansas just didn't show up. I believe Bobby Petrino is going to be the interim head coach until they bring in another guy. But yeah, Notre Dame just had their way, scoring 28 points in the second quarter and dominating by a score of 56-13. Ohio State, first road game of the year. Julian Saints' first true road start. And listen to how efficient this kid was. 22 of 28, 208 yards and 2 touchdowns. This was Izzy's upset pick on College Football Showdown. And, I just said, I just don't see it happening, just due to the simple fact that defense travels. I think Ohio State is the best defensive team in the country. And, they dominated this game on Saturday, 24-6. Still showing why they're the number 1 ranked team in the country and why they are the defending champs. Tennessee needed overtime to win against Mississippi State. Joey Aguilar, 24 of 40, 335 yards and 1 touchdown. Georgia Tech just continues to roll in the ACC. 30-29, getting that 1-point win over Wake Forest. Excuse me. And how about Illinois? Bouncing back. They were absolutely embarrassed at the hands of Indiana last week. Fernando Mendoza just carved through Illinois like room temperature butter. And they bounced back. Winning a shootout, 34-32 was homecoming. Luke Altmaier really bounced back and had quite the game. This Illinois team is tough. 20 of 26, 328 yards passing and 2 touchdown passes. Whereas Jaden Maeva, 30 of 43, 364 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Waymond, that's actually his name, Waymond. I ain't even going to say what I want to say. 20 carries, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Good bounce back win for Illinois. The 2 marquee games of the day. One took place in Athens, Georgia, and the other took place in Happy Valley in Pennsylvania. In Athens, you had the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs. One, let me tell you guys how much I love previewing this matchup. The games are always memorable. The games are always close. And it seems like every time they play, they just always seem to add a new chapter into this rivalry. We've seen them meet up in a lot of SEC championship games, 2 national title games. I remember the one Alabama won against Georgia. Jalen Hurts gets benched. Tua Tagovailoa comes in and saves the day. Then when they meet a couple years later in 2022, Georgia finally got one over Alabama. But ever since then, it's just been Alabama over Georgia. And the Crimson Tide have really been a thorn in Kirby Smart's side. So I was really curious to see how this was gonna pan out, because I felt Georgia had a lot to attack Alabama with. Gunnar Stockton is a mobile quarterback. The stat line wasn't the greatest, but 13 of 20 for Gunner, 130 yards passing, and 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Chauncey Bowens, 12 carries, 119 yards rushing, and 1 touchdown. But how about Ty Simpson? Just no relation, by the way. Just really stepping it up and playing so much better ever since that week 1 loss. Alabama as a whole, has just really stepped up and played a lot better since that week 1 loss in Tallahassee against Florida State. He was 24 of 38, 276 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Jam Miller. Now, coming into this game, I said that getting Jam Miller back is absolutely huge. Not only is he a threat as a runner, he can catch the ball out the backfield. So he could be that check down running back that every quarterback loves to have at their disposal. But I love what he does without the ball, meaning how he blocks, how he picks up blitzes and blockers, and he's doing whatever he can to keep his quarterback protected at all cost. And you could tell his presence really made all the difference. I think the problem that Georgia has with Alabama is Alabama can match Georgia punch for punch and physical nature with physical nature. What do I always say? The bully don't like to get bullied. And yeah, Georgia was pushed around. Now, Georgia did make things interesting, but they just couldn't capitalize when the opportunity was in front of them. Alabama did win another one, 24-21 over Georgia. Georgia's 33-game home winning streak was officially snapped on Saturday with this loss. Just goes to show you how dominant they've been at home. Kirby Smart now falls to 1-6 all time against the team he used to coach for. He was Alabama's defensive coordinator for many years under Nick Saban, and you can tell he's learned a lot from Nick. This is a humongous win for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Kalen DeBoer in his first 2 years, he has those 2 big wins. I think this one is a little more significant than last year's because he got this one on the road. And what a win for Alabama. Want to see where Georgia goes from here. Now, very good game. Was definitely thrilled to preview it. And the other game that was on. Now, one thing that kind of pissed me off was both these games came on at the same time. Oregon, Penn State. Game day was there. It was a whiteout. LeVar Aronson was the guest picker on game day. The last time we saw these two teams meet, it was a little bit of a shootout. And Oregon won, which would end up being their first Big Ten Conference Championship. I really like James Franklin. I really do. I think he's a phenomenal leader amongst young men. But he just has that same type of label on him that Jim Harbaugh had before he got it together at Michigan. Can't win the big game against those quality opponents. Believe coming into this game, he had a record of 4-20. On the Oregon side, you already know how they like to play. They like to play fast. They like to play up-tempo. They like to go no huddle. It's my first time getting the chance to see Dante Moore play. And Decorian Moore as well. More and more. Words of Joe Thomas. First time getting to see that tandem. This was by far going to be the toughest game on Oregon's schedule up to date. And Penn State they wanted their revenge in this game, and this was a game that Drew Allard, Nick Singleton, and Katron Allen all came back for. What a game this was as well. First half was more defensive than what I thought it was going to be. I'm thinking this would be kind of like high scoring, and you couldn't ask for more contrasting styles of football. Oregon, like I said, they want to run it, they want to gun it, but they're also balanced. They can ugly games up and run the football too. And Penn State, they want to turn games into a street fight. They want to slow the game down. To me, they have the best duo of backs in the country in Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton. The third quarter came around. The playbook started to open up a little more. Drew Allard, not the best stat line, 14 to 25, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he did throw a very costly pick. And Dante Moore, this kid played with such great composure, ice in his veins, on the road, under the lights. It's a whiteout. You already know that hostile environment is always going to be something to watch and look for, and just to see how these opposing players, how composed are they going to be in that type of atmosphere? Just looked like he had been here before. 29 to 39, 248 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. This game went into double overtime, and Oregon did come away with a win. They get a huge win across the country on the road, 30 to 24. Penn State loses another big game under James Franklin. What a game. Was absolutely thrilled to preview both of those games. And so was Siebes, as you can hear. What a week of college football. This is one we're going to be talking about for a while. Let's look at the top 25. Siebes, I hear you. Let's look at the top 25 because there's definitely been a shake-up. We're going to start from 25 and we're going to work our way up. 25, Arizona State is back in the rankings. Virginia enters at number 24. BYU, after a win over Colorado, they're at number 23. Illinois, number 22. Notre Dame, 21. Michigan, 20. See how they do a little more deeper in conference play. Florida State at 18. Georgia Tech at 17. The Vanderbilt Commodores at 16. The Tennessee Volunteers fall into 15. Iowa State, they're 5-0 at 14. LSU drops to number 13. Georgia drops to number 12. And Texas Tech sits at 11. Now, this top 10 is quite interesting. Alabama's back in the top 10. Tell me, was that on your bingo card after they lost to Florida State? Texas is at number 9. Indiana is back at number 8, and they've really shown that last year wasn't a fluke. I love Fernando Mendoza and what he brings to the table for Kurt Cignetti in this offense. Number 7, Penn State. They dropped from 3 to 7. 6, Texas A&M. 5, Oklahoma. 4, Ole Miss. 3, Miami. 2, Oregon. And 1, Ohio State. I want to know what you guys think of these rankings, and I want to talk about what I will be previewing this week, college-wise. I still am going to preview that Florida battle, Miami, Florida State. The matchup did lose a lot of its luster after Florida State lost to Virginia on Friday night, but still a really intriguing matchup, and I will be previewing Alabama. They will be hosting Vanderbilt. College Game Day is going to be going there, so it's going to be good to see Coach Nick back in Tuscaloosa, where he had so much success finally going to get to see Diego Pavia play. Ronnie has absolutely raved about this kid, and yeah, I can't wait to see him play for myself. Yeah, Tuscaloosa is really going to be rocking in on Saturday afternoon. They can't get here soon enough. With that being said, that is all I have for college. We're going to go to the phone lines. You're going to hear a little bit of music when I get back. We're going to talk a little National Football League. This is Monday Evening Quarterback on Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, not Blog Talk Radio. Let's try this over. This is Monday Evening Quarterback on Twitch, Spotify, YouTube, and the Nerdport Network. I will be back.